Kia ora, I'm Amanda Gillies, and today on The Detail, soaring violent crime, record homicide investigations and more out-of-town police boots on the ground. What's really going on in Northland?
An unprecedented spate of violent crimes coupled with a significant police shortage in Northland means dozens of officers are being sent to the region on rotations to help out.
90 police officers from around New Zealand have been deployed to Northland to free up resources to carry out 4 separate homicide investigations after a total of 9 killings this year.
The 4 most recent Northland homicides, including the killing of a 3-year-old girl, were separated by around 2 weeks.
So, 9 homicides in the region this year already. To put that in perspective, there were 8 there for all of 2024. Police believe none of the recent crimes are linked, but say what they are facing right now is unprecedented.
The level and the amount of hours that have to go into investigating those is quite significant, and obviously that really put us, at our capacity.
So they put out the mayday call for help.
It is pretty unusual. We know that the serious crime in Northland is unprecedented at the moment, and certainly, in my view, this is a relatively unprecedented response in terms of the numbers of police who are going up there, in terms of the duration of the support operation.
That's New Zealand Herald senior investigative journalist Michael Morra, who broke the story. Today he talks me through what is going on, whether the police presence is working, the role of meth in the region and how locals are coping, and also why police officers apparently don't want to police there. What's the problem? But first up, I asked Michael to paint us a picture of the latest crime wave up north.
Well, I think it's really serious, and this is obvious because of this support operation that Northland Police have initiated. You don't just bring in police officers from all around the country to work on shifts in the mid and far north unless there's a serious issue. I think that this year alone we've had 9 alleged homicides in Northland. That is a record even on last year, and we're not even at the end of the year yet. So police, obviously, when they're dealing with killings and investigating that, it takes a huge amount of manpower, a huge amount of hours to get those cases to court. And what's happened is that police officers are being taken off other jobs. In the words of the district commander, Matt Sahoy, it has left police with an inability to follow up on other crime that is happening.
And is this like kind of burglaries, minor crimes, things like that they had to turn their back on?
Yeah, absolutely. So certainly what's termed volume crime, which is what you've just articulated, which is car thefts, break-ins, burglaries, that sort of thing. There has been numerous stories over the past few months about police not being available to turn up to those sorts of reports, let alone initiate investigations. But also there is concern, especially from Ngāpuhi and its chairman, Mane Tahere, about the lack of urgency around investigating some other serious crimes. And this is reports of child abuse. And in his mind, he says that some of those investigations have, quote, stalled, which is really serious. Police acknowledge that they do have a very high rate in Northland of adult sexual assault cases and also child abuse cases. And when you have a record number of homicides, some of which have happened in very, very quick succession, then you are drawing on resources and investigators from other cases to slot them into positions investigating homicides.
Just want to talk about these homicides. What can you tell us about this? Who are the victims? Are any of them linked? What's going on there?
There have been at least 2 in Kaikohe alone. one of whom was a 3-year-old girl.
More than 400 people have marched down Kaikohe's main street this morning to honour and pay tribute to the short life of a 3-year-old girl. Katalea Mana Tangimetua Pepine died last month. A 45-year-old man has been charged with her murder.
Kaikohe has received an awful rap, and the tragedy of the murder of this child, I think, is the culmination of a long period of decline, the spread of the drug culture. I would say to Kaikohe, whānau leaders need to intervene rapidly when they see dysfunctionalism, remove kids from a dangerous situation, and in many cases remove them from their whānau if the whānau themselves are enveloped in a drug-riddled level of social mayhem.
There have been other killings in Whangarei, in the city itself, and on the outskirts in Onarahi. So they are right across the Northland area, but certainly it is the mid to far north where the difficulty with police numbers is at its worst. And I'm from Whangarei.
I was going to say, this is your hood. You know this well.
I do. And, you know, it's a huge section when you look at the mid-north, the Bay of Islands, Kaikohe, up to Kaitaia. It's a massive area to police. And while police are recruiting officers, and they are in Whangarei, getting police officers who are going to be working in those mid to far north areas has been a problem. And I think it's been a problem for many, many years. I think it's probably at its worst right now.
So what is putting New Zealand police off moving to Northland for work? It is, after all, an idyllic corner of the world with a laid-back lifestyle, some of the country's finest coastlines and a mild subtropical climate. But is the crime rate, the gang problems and the soaring meth use simply too much to handle?
Yeah, great question. And I did put this to Superintendent Matt Sahoy about what exactly is it? Is it because people don't want to live up there? Are police put off because of the high crime rate? He just says that there's a combination of things going on at the moment, especially in the mid to far north. You've got an attrition rate that is happening around the country in all areas. You know, I think in 2023 we had a massive number of police. According to official information, 40 officers left the district in the first 9 months of 2023.
40.
40, that's 40 in Northland. And the departing officers were leaving to find greener grass, better working conditions. The intense workloads were putting them off, and they wanted a better lifestyle and livelihood for their families.
Gosh, you'd think you'd go up there for the lifestyle and the better livelihood for families. So it's amazing they're getting driven out.
Well, exactly. And so that is, I think, if you look at those statistics, official statistics from 2023, I don't have the latest for 2025, but if you look at the number of police who are resigning or deciding that they're going to move to a different location in New Zealand, the numbers are pretty massive. And it all points to this workload. And they're overrun. Police in Northland at the moment are overrun. And this is why they've got police officers from all the way in Southland, Tasman District, Wellington, Auckland, up there to help them out.
But is it a Band-Aid, Mike, or can they do a long-term solution for this? You know, and is it making any difference at the moment?
Look, absolutely, I think it is making a difference. And even speaking to locals up there, they told me that it was great to see the presence of police, this higher visibility of officers on the beat, more road policing activity, more investigative staff, more officers just walking on the streets in places like Kaikohe, in places like Kirikiri, in places like Kaitaia. That is absolutely welcomed by the community up there who feel like they have been essentially left alone.
Sort of forgotten.
Well, forgotten, yeah. And I think there's a sense of concern about lawlessness taking over parts of Northland amid this inability of police to respond. So absolutely, the surge of police is helping. We know that police are starting to get on top of some of these investigations that have been languishing for weeks and months. We also know that this is a very expensive operation.
I want to talk to you about this, about cost.
Yeah, if you consider that you have police who are coming from as far afield as Southland and they're doing 5 weeks up there, it's pretty costly.
And where are they staying? Like, are they getting put up or in motels? How's that working?
Yeah, well, you'd assume they'd be put up in hotels or Airbnbs, rentals, that sort of thing. And all of that is pretty expensive. Police themselves, as well as Ngāpuhi leaders, have said that this is absolutely a short-term option because you can't keep taking officers away from other districts and then funding using taxpayer money for months on end this 5-week rotation. One of my sources who got in touch with me, and this is how I came across the story, said that the expenses were a real concern. But the other concern is that we know at the moment that there's more police needed everywhere in New Zealand. We know at the moment that the national government has a key election plank of improving law and order, and they're wanting to boost police numbers.
The Coalition agreed to introduce 500 new officers over 2 years, but the Prime Minister and Mark Mitchell say reaching the target will be a challenge.
The police are struggling to recruit new officers. Lots of the current crop are nearing retirement age, and then there's the Aussies. They're poaching our police with offers of better pay and more sunshine.
But you can imagine if police officers are being taken out of areas, especially like the Tasman region or Southland, other areas where maybe they don't have heaps of staff anyway, and they're doing these stints up in Northland, you can imagine that the colleagues who are left behind then will be coming under additional pressure as well. So there is some concern within police, according to my sources, about the fact that there are already districts that are under huge pressure in terms of resourcing, and then those officers are being taken out to assist in another place, which is Northland.
Are they getting replaced, the ones in Tasman or Southland? Do you know if they're getting people to replace them?
I do not know what is happening there. I would assume not.
He assumed correctly. Police told The Detail the 4th rotation is about to commence and a review of the ongoing support will continue. While no costings were available, police confirmed staff aren't being backfilled due to the short stint of deployment.
I guess it'll be a bit of a change to rosters, like we're used to in the news business. If someone's unwell or someone is not around, we fill the gap and work as hard as we can.
And up in Northland, how much longer can they afford to do this, for? And is there a worry that once these boots get off the ground, crime is just going to go back up again?
I actually bumped into Richard Chambers, the police commissioner, randomly in the newsroom at the New Zealand Herald.
As you do.
Yesterday. He was up there for an interview with ZB. But anyway, I said to him, it's obvious that this program is a positive. If it's assisting the police who are feeling overwhelmed and so stretched in Northland, then that is a good thing. But I did say to him, what is the master plan here? What are you going to do in the long term? Because this is obviously not sustainable to have police from all over the country up in Northland. And he pointed again to getting the recruitment drive right. So it's essentially selling Northland as a place to do policing. And this is another point that Matt Sahoy really wanted to emphasise. And he said that, recruiting in Northland is a ongoing battle, to quote him. But he said that if there are people out there, especially in the Northland community, whether you're young or old and you want to make a difference, you want to do something positive for the community, then join us, get in touch with the police. So I think they just got to get that recruitment strategy right. But I think there's a whole lot of other issues here as well that is leading to a huge amount of crime in Northland. For one, we know that some parts of Northland there's a huge amount of poverty. We know that the housing situation in parts of Northland is not ideal. We know that the schooling is not ideal. We know that there are not enough mental health beds. We know that this year wastewater testing by police showed that methamphetamine use has tripled in Northland, making it the capital of meth use in New Zealand.
Police and the New Zealand Drug Foundation are concerned about the latest results of wastewater testing in New Zealand, which are the worst they've ever seen.
Ngā Puhi Chairman Mane Tahiri made headlines recently by raising the alarm about the methamphetamine crisis sweeping Northland.
It's more in your face out here in Kaikui and the wider communities. I see it on a day-to-day basis.
The biggest thing that we probably see is the effect on the kids. You got whānaus that are going without kai. The living conditions could be appalling. It's a real pandemic, you could call it.
All of these things combined contribute, in my view, to poorer outcomes and increased crime. And all of these things in turn would be putting additional pressure on the police. So it's not just a case of we've got to get the recruitment drive right. It's also working out, in my view, not that I'm an expert in this area, of advancing Northland in terms of development, in terms of opportunities, in terms of assistance for people who have meth addiction. So it's all of those things, health, housing, education, it's got to line up as well in terms of vast improvements in those areas before we're going to see a real change.
Do you know if the cops that have gone up there from Tasman, Southland, have you heard how their experience has been and if it's been okay and if they'd go back?
Look, I haven't spoken directly to officers who are up there at the moment, but what I do know is that I think, according to Matt Sahoy, they are absolutely enjoying their time up there. It's a bit of a change of scene, as you can imagine. They're also learning on the job. They've got the local officers who are trying to give them a heads up about certain things. But you can imagine it's also challenging because, like when you're a journalist and you build contacts and you're in a certain area, if you're in Southland and you're a police officer down there and you know that Joe Bloggs lives here and you know you can go to this person for information over here, and then all of a sudden you're up in Kirikiri or Kaitaia and you don't even know your way around in terms of the roads, it does present a bit of a challenge. So I think that there will be learnings from both sides in terms of those police officers who are being jetted in from around the country who are talking to the local cops and learning, and then likewise, that the Northland police are also getting a few tips and tricks from them.
Far North Mayor Moko Tapania told RNZ's The Panel he welcomes the increased police presence and the catch-up work the new officers are doing in his community.
Oh, it is needed. I mean, we've had a high number of high-level crimes in our area recently, and so police resources are stretched to capacity, so it's great to see the extra support come from southern districts. What I honestly am hoping is that this isn't something that we just need on a short-term basis. This is what we need permanently. We need more police on the ground here in our very rural and large geographically sized district on the day-to-day. So we've got this short-term boost in police numbers, but this is something we need to look at seriously on a permanent basis.
Meth, he agrees, plays a huge role in crime sprees up north, and while he says there is no magic wand to fix the problem, he's pushing for the power of localism.
Like, one of our biggest issues, right, is changes in government and things like that, and probably death by pilot programs. You get a new regime come in, and they come in with non-sustainable funding that will give you a shot in the arm for only a couple of years, and then locals are scrambling to try and make it sustainable. And we've got these programs that will start up and do great things, but then there's no security of tenure because the funding will then dry up. And then we're back to square one, and then we'll get a new government come in. So we've got local solutions here on the ground, and we just need support services to wrap around that and to move out of the way some of the times too. Right.
Mike, locals, how are they reacting? What are you hearing on the ground?
I think that they're absolutely pleased that they're seeing this greater presence of police officers walking around on the beat, more investigations. I spoke to Mane Tahiri from Ngā Puhi, who's the chair, and he says that there has absolutely been a change that he's witnessed since more police turned up. For example, he said that there was a case of child neglect, which in his mind had been, quote, parked up, which was now being investigated, and he was seeing people charged. And so he's very supportive of that. And certainly the iwi itself and Mane, they want to be part of this solution. They want to help police here. They're absolutely concerned about crimes not being followed up, about slow response times, but they also want to be part of the solution. And so I think because of this, you have the iwi who's regularly meeting with the district commander, Matt Suhoi, about some of these issues. And what the iwi would like to see is greater investment in things like Māori wardens, health and addiction services, and they want more of an ability to do this at a community level, which I think this is all part of the issue, you see. I mean, you can't sort of sit back and just say, oh, well, this is hopeless, the police aren't doing their job. Well, actually, it's up to everyone in the community to be assisting the police, in my opinion, and that starts from a ground level.
Now, we've had a lot of doom and gloom on Northland. Sell it to us. Why? If a cop's listening here now with his family and thinking, maybe I could do this, why should you move to Northland? What are the benefits?
I said to Richard Chambers yesterday, mate, you need to start talking about some of the beaches up there and that sort of thing. And I was even mentioning to my colleagues before I came over here that Northland, in my humble opinion, is the best place in New Zealand. And the beaches and the coastal living is incredibly stunning and unique. And I guess it's very diverse. And you've got Whangarei, which is a great little town, Kirikiri, Kaitaia, right up to Cape Reinga. It's all stunning. Ahipara, beautiful place. And so I would be, if I was the police and in charge of recruitment, not that I am, obviously, but I would be, filming some police on surfboards after their shift and showing the opportunities that you have up there when you're not actually locking up criminals. I think Northland has a lot to offer. At the same time, there is a view, and I think there's some validity to this, that over many, many years, Northland has been neglected by consecutive governments. And it is not a powerhouse like Wellington or Auckland. And I think in many cases, Northland is sadly forgotten. And I think that politicians could be doing more to assist in the development of places like Northland to make it a great place to live, go to school and work.
That's all for today. The Detail is a newsroom production supported by RNZ and New Zealand On Air. Thank you to Michael Mora. This episode was produced by Sharon Brett Kelly and engineered by William Saunders. I'm Amanda Gillies. Matua.